Hello everyone. In this session, we'll be discussing about connectors and resin bonded FPD. So references are Schellenberg and Rosenstiel, and the star mark denotes important questions. So what is a connector? So as you all know, connector is a part of an FPD. We have covered the other two parts, that is the retainer and pontics, in the previous classes. So retainers are metal or metal ceramic or all ceramic retainers, and pontics are of various designs. Now when we talk about connector, it is that part of an FPD which connects the retainer and the pontic. So in the diagram you can see there is a shaded area that represent the connector. So connector basically holds the entire FPD together. So it should have sufficient strength to resist all the masticatory forces. It should also have sufficient bulk to provide the strength. So all these things has to be kept in mind before designing a connector. And the location of the connector decides the cleansibility and aesthetics of a restoration. So in order to improve the cleansibility and aesthetics, it's preferred that the connector is located lingually and incisally. So as for all other components, connectors should also satisfy all the biological, mechanical and aesthetic requirements of a restoration. The part of the FPD that decides whether the denture is movable, removable or fixed is the connector. So connectors are of two different types. They are rigid connectors and non-rigid connectors. So rigid connector will have a fixed joint. That is, the pontic connectors or pontic and retainer will be fixed together and there won't be any sort of movement between the components. Whereas in non-rigid connectors, the pontic and retainer, they will have some amount of movement. That is because the connector itself is fabricated in two parts or three parts. So there will be some amount of movements between the connector, and thus the FPD will be a movable FPD. Examples of examples of rigid connectors are cast connectors, soldered connectors and welded connectors. So cast connector is shaped in wax. That is, when we do the wax pattern fabrication for the retainer and pontic, the wax pattern for the connector also will be fabricated. So the retainer and pontic will be casted along with the connector. That is called as the cast connector. In soldered connector, the retainer and pontic will be casted separately, and once we get the castings, we will join them using an intermediate metal alloy. So we will use some other different metal to join the components. That is soldered connectors. In welded connectors, after the casting, we will join the components, that is the retainers and pontics, using heat. So we will be welding the components together. That's how we get the welded connector. Examples of non-rigid connectors are tenon mortise, split pontic and crosspin and wing connectors. Rigid connectors are indicated in areas where we do not want any kind of movement. That is, these are used to unite retainers and pontics in a fixed partial denture. So there is no movement between the components. So these are used when we want to transfer the entire load on the pontic to the abutment tooth. It's basically indicated in short span FPDs where the load has to be transferred to the abutment tooth, and we do not require any kind of stress relaxation in such areas. Now let's see what are the features of a rigid connector. So a rigid connector should have a tissue surface which is curved faciolingually. This is to provide efficient cleaning in these areas. The shape of the connector will be elliptical in the buccolingual aspect. In the mesiodistal aspect, there will be a smooth transition from one component to another. That is, if the connector is between pontic and retainer, there shouldn't be any distinct kind of connector in between. There will be a smooth transition from the pontic to the connector, to the retainer in the mesiodistal aspect. The size of the connector should be sufficient enough to prevent any kind of distortion. So it's better to restrict such connectors for full coverage crowns. This is because when a wax pattern is fabricated and it's removed from the die, there are chances that the connector gets distorted in cases of partial coverage crowns. And it also should allow adequate oral hygiene. Now let's see what are the features of a rigid connector. So a rigid connector should have a tissue surface which is curved faciolingually. This is to provide efficient cleaning in these areas. The shape of the connector will be elliptical in the buccolingual aspect. In the mesial loop connector, this is a kind of a rigid connector. Here we have a loop between the retainer and the pontic. So this is done in order to preserve an existing diastema. In these situations, if we use a normal rigid connector, then the diastema will be closed. So for this, we use a loop in the lingual aspect to connect both components, and the diastema also will be preserved. Now let's see about non-rigid connectors. So non-rigid connectors are indicated in areas when it is not possible to prepare two abutments of the FPD with a common path of placement. That is, if two abutments or two adjacent abutments are not parallel to each other, then the path of placement will not be same. So in such cases, it will be very difficult to place the FPD. So in such cases, we use a non-rigid connector. So this is done by segmenting large FPDs into shorter components that are easier to place or repair individually. These are also indicated in areas with pier abutment. That is, one abutment which is bounded by edentulous space on both sides. In such cases, again we use a non-rigid connector. And it is also used for tilted abutment. So tilted abutment, if we go for a normal connector, then we'll have to do extensive tooth preparation. So in such cases, again we can use a non-rigid connector, so that even if the path of placement is different, we can go ahead with the normal preparation. Tenon mortise connector. So this is a non-rigid connector. It is also called as dovetail connector or keyway connector. It basically consists of a male and a female part. The male part is known as the tenon and female part is known as the mortise. So the main objective of using such connectors is that if we are using a cast connector, a rigid connector in a long span FPD, due to biomechanical movement, there will be movement of the denture which causes deflection of the denture. So the denture might get dislodged in such cases. But when we are using a non-rigid connector, what happens is usually the male part and the female part will gets locked in. When there is any kind of movement, it gets unlocked. When the male and female part is unlocked, the stress which is transmitted will be broken. So there won't be any more stress that is transmitted, and this will not cause any kind of dislodgement. So that is the basic principle of using non-rigid connector. So there will be some amount of movement between the connectors or between the components. So that will causes or that will restrict the transmission of stress. So this is used to limit the stress transmission. So for tenon mortise connector, the female component, that is the mortise, will be placed on the distal surface of the pier abutment, and the male component will be placed on the mesial surface of the pontic in the distal edentulous space. So for a pier abutment, there will be mesial and distal edentulous space. So we are concentrating on the distal edentulous space. So the female component will be placed on the distal aspect of the abutment or the retainer, and the male component will be placed on the mesial surface of the pontic. Next one is split pontic connector. Here the pontic is split into two parts. That is, mostly the distal pontic will be split. This is mainly indicated in tilted abutments, where the tenon mortise preparation will require too much or extensive preparation in the distal aspect. So in such cases, in tilted abutments, we can use the split pontic connector. For this connector, it will have a mesial and a distal segment. So the pontic is divided into mesial and distal segments. The mesial segment will have a distal shoe kind of thing in the gingival portion of the pontic. So you can see from the image, in the mesial portion there is a shoe-like thing in the gingival aspect. When the distal segment is cemented, the distal portion of the pontic will cover this shoe part in the mesial aspect of the pontic. So that's how it is connected. Third type of non-rigid connector is the cross pin and wing connector. This again is used in cases with a tilted tooth. It consists of a wing and a cross pin. The wing will be attached to the distal retainer and the pontic will be attached to the mesial retainer. And there will be a cross pin which will be placed in the hole which is given there. So the pin which is driven through the hole present in the pontic and the wing, that will hold the entire segment together. It will again allow some amount of movement. That's all about different connectors. Now we'll move on with resin bonded FPD. So as the name suggests, we know that it is an FPD which is bonded with resin. So from the picture you can see there are two wings which is attached to the lingual surface of the abutment teeth, and there is a pontic in between. So the main goal of such a restoration is conservation of tooth structure. Since only one surface is involved, one surface is only prepared. All other tooth structure is preserved. And the preparation is only on the enamel because we are using resin cement for bonding. So bonding in enamel is best. So the preparation is limited to the enamel. The durability of such a restoration depends on the bonding between the etched enamel and the metal casting. The development of acid etching of enamel to improve the retention of resin, which was described by Bonnecourt to the discovery of such a restoration. The advantages and disadvantages of resin bonded FPD. So advantages, first of all, it is conservative and there is no anesthesia required because the preparation is limited to enamel. Since the preparation is only on the lingual side, we can give a supragingival margin. And the rebonding of the restoration is possible if the wings are intact. So once the FPD dislodges, we can rebond it again if the wings are in proper shape. And comparatively, the cost of the restoration is also less. These are the advantages. Now, when we talk about disadvantages, first of all, it's an irreversible treatment because we are doing some amount of preparation on the tooth surface. So the amount of enamel lost is always lost. So that is an irreversible treatment method. And we cannot do any kind of space correction or alignment correction with such a restoration because only the lingual surface is involved. We are not doing any correction on the facial surface. So such space or alignment correction is not possible with a resin bonded FPD. And also it's difficult to fabricate a provisional restoration for such a denture. So let's see what are the indications of a resin bonded FPD. So for a resin bonded FPD to be successful, we need sufficient enamel to bond, and also there shouldn't be too much of occlusal forces acting on the pontic region. So if we keep these two things in mind, we can do a proper resin bonded restoration. So the indications are caries free abutment teeth. Yes, we need good amount of enamel, and preferably we can use an abutment teeth without extensive restorations. These are indicated for maxillary mandibular incisors. It can be used as periodontal splints. So weak mobile teeth can be splinted using this method. It can also be used in cases with single posterior tooth replacement where occlusal forces are not too much for the pontic. Contraindications are extensive caries, extensive restorations, insufficient occlusal clearance, thin anterior teeth. So in such cases the enamel will be thin and will end up in encroaching the pulp. Cannot give this in short clinical crowns. In situations which require a change in the alignment or spacing or a change in the facial aesthetics of the teeth. In cases with deep vertical overbite. So in such cases, if we give a resin bonded FPD, we'll need too much of tooth reduction to give the proper structural durability. So that is not indicated, and we cannot give such FPDs in long span bridges and in patients with nickel sensitivity because the retainers are made out of metal, and so patients with metal sensitivity cannot be given. Also in patients with parafunctional habits. So in such cases, again the resin bonded FPD is contraindicated. Different types of resin bonded FPDs are Rorschach bridge, Maryland bridge, Virginia bridge and cast mesh bridge. The basic difference between these dentures are the mode of bonding. So some will have mechanical bonding, some will have macromechanical bonding and some will have micromechanical bonding. So the method of bonding between the retainer and the tooth determines the type of FPD. It is indicated for both anterior and posterior FPDs. This type is no longer being used. This is because the cement which extrudes through these perforations, it is exposed to the oral fluid and causes micro leakage. So thereby the retention is limited. The second type of FPD is the Maryland bridge. It is introduced by Livadakis and Thompson of the University of Maryland. So here the retention is through micromechanical bonding. So for this, micro abrasions or micro pits are formed on the retainer as well as on the tooth enamel. So for the retainer, the etching is done with the help of electrochemical pit corrosion. That is, the retainer will be immersed in a solution of acids and a current will be passed which causes etching of the retainer. The etching of the tooth is through normal 37% orthophosphoric acid. So because of these microporosities, it enhances the retention. The next type is the cast mesh FPD. Here there is no etching. Instead we have macromechanical retention. So how is this achieved? Once the retainer is wax pattern for the retainer is fabricated, we will adapt a nylon mesh inside the tissue surface of the retainer. So this provides mechanical interlocking for the FPD. So because of this mesh, the cement can get a mechanical bonding with the retainer, and that's how it is retained. The last type of resin bonded FPD is the Virginia bridge. This again is a macromechanical retention. So here the retention is achieved with the help of salt. So the technique which we employ is the lost salt technique. What we do is, instead of fabricating a wax pattern, we fabricate a resin pattern. Okay, so in the resin pattern we will be sprinkling salt, and the salt once evaporated, it leaves a porosity, and that porosity will be utilized for retention. Cementation is through resin cement. So the steps are similar to that of the laminate veneers which we discussed in the previous class. So we will do the preparation of the tooth and preparation of the FPD separately. Then we will use the resin cement to bond the retainer to the tooth. So that's the end of this session. So if you have any doubts, please let us know. Thank you.